Welcome everyone to today's Mexican feast cooking class. As we highlight some of the features and the functions of TM6 and go through some beautiful Mexican dishes that you can find on Cookie-Doo. We're going to cross over to Kirsty now. Thank you to everyone joining us today, and thank you to the consultants and team leaders that are here today. As we cross over to everyone, you can all introduce yourselves, please, and tell everyone the dish that you're preparing. So first presenter for today is Kirsty.
Thank you, Leah. Yes, hello. I am Kirsty McGibbon and I am a team leader within Branch Vivid. We're all consultants and team leaders for Branch Vivid. So we encompass about half of Sydney actually. So from the eastern suburbs all the way up to the Hawkesbury. If anybody's watching us from one of the flood areas, you know, maybe sitting somewhere safe and dry today, hopefully we can, distract you from some of the awful stuff that people are dealing with at the moment. But yeah, anyway, so I'm going to start off by showing you how you can do tacos in your Thermomix. So you might notice I've got two Thermomixes going today. So I'm going to start the tacos over here. And then while that is cooking, I'm going to show you how you can make your own taco seasoning mix instead of buying those packets. So I'm going to start off here with the beef tacos. So if you're looking for this recipe now, are we able to spotlight my second screen, please, Anne-Marie, so everybody can see a little close up here? So I've put the beef tacos into my meal plan. So I'm just going to select that recipe. Are we able to do a double spotlight?
Sorry, you just need to unmute again, Kirsty.
Oh, we're having fun with the tech today. There we go. I think you can see both now. So I was saying it's always a good idea to scroll down, have a look at the ingredients that you need for your recipe before you start. Never good to get caught out halfway through a recipe and realize there was something you forgot to buy. Hopefully I've got everything today. So when you're ready, click on start cooking. Now I'm actually going to skip the cheese because you're going to see somebody else grating cheese for the Mexican stack, Evie, I think. So we're just going to skip through those steps and we're going to start, save me washing and drying a bowl again. We're going to start by adding our garlic. I'm going to give that a really quick chop. So 3 seconds on the clock, speed 7, we just turn that dial to start. Oh, it's a potent onion. Okay, now really important to note here that it says do not scrape down the sides of the mixing bowl. So normally after you've done something like onion, you would scrape it down so that then when you're sauteing in the next step, it's going to get sauteed. But because we're about to use the high temperature mode, we actually don't want the garlic to burn. So we're going to leave that up the sides of the bowl. So if you're just new to your TM6, it really is important to read these instructions, even if you've had a 5 or a 31 before and you're used to doing it a certain way. So this next step as well, onions cut in wedges. So you would be used to just chopping your onion in half or quarters and then chopping it in the bowl. But because we're using the high temperature mode, we actually want to increase that surface area to volume ratio so that we're getting that beautiful caramelization on the onions. So I've just cut those into wedges. I'm going to throw those in there. And then we're going to add our olive oil. And don't stint on the olive oil. I used to always, slightly more than I needed. I used to always cut back the oil, but again, when you're using the high temperature mode, it is important to put in the amount of oil that it's asked for so that it's not going to stick and burn. Now, this is an instruction you're only going to see on the TM6. It's asking for the high temperature splash guard. So as with the measuring cup, it's going to stop things from spitting out. It's going to allow the steam to escape. These are the important elements of the high temperature splash guard. These little clips here get locked on with the lid so that we can't be tempted to have a little peek while we're cooking at high temperature, because this could be anywhere up to 160 degrees with that oil in there. So we don't want to be having a peek and risk being burnt in the face. So this is a really important accessory. and the recipe will ask you to acknowledge that instruction before it allows you to move on to the next step. So you can see here, we're going to be sauteing for, it must have been set on 4 minutes. These 3 wriggly lines here indicate that we're using the high temperature mode. So we're just going to let that do its thing there for the moment. I'm just going to turn my camera around, the magic of TV. And over here, we are going to make our taco seasoning. So I'm just going to go into the menu here, my week. Now you probably can't hear this through Zoom, but that is sizzling away beautifully. And it smells amazing already. Okay, so taco seasoning. So over here, I'm going to use my old measuring cup here. And actually, no, I'm not. I've got my spare one because we're not using it while we've got the high temperature splash guard on. I always manage to fling this across the room. So I will pop the TM6 one in. So I don't have to try and remember. Okay, so taco seasoning over here. How's that angle? Is that okay? Yep, not too glary. All right, so start cooking. So 20 to 40 grams of chili powder. Now, this is a great advantage of making things yourself because you can decide how hot and spicy you want. If you're allergic to, say, I don't know, turmeric or garlic or something, you can leave it out. So in this case, I know that there's also quite a lot of chili flakes, so I might just do the 20 grams. You can see it's quite a lot of chili, even only doing the 20 grams. So I'm just going to put that much in. And then over the next couple of steps, it's going to ask me to add in the garlic powder. Can you see I've got all of my spices here ready to go? Garlic powder, onion powder, oregano, paprika, cumin seeds, sea salt, dried chili flakes, black peppercorns. So I've got all of that ready to go there. Doesn't that look pretty? I'm just going to toss that all in together. Oh, gee, with the humidity, it's even stuck to the dish. There we go. So we're just popping all of that in together. And then we're just going to mill that for 1 minute. And that is as easy as it is to do your own spice blends. So I actually went to the shops to grab my ingredients. So I'm just going to bring up the photo that I took. And I grabbed a packet of taco seasoning just to see what was in it. So we've just seen what's gone into that. It's just lots of beautiful spices. So the packet that I picked up, the first couple of ingredients, and you know that they put it in order of what has the highest ratio in the mix. So the most of any ingredient in there, first one is sugar, then maize flour, then salt, and then we start to actually get into the aromatics. So the garlic, cumin, paprika, tomato, onion, oregano. Oh, and then we've got some food acid in there, some fennel, allspice, cinnamon, anti-caking agents. So quite different from the ingredients that we can make ourselves and know exactly what we're eating. So I'm just going to blend that, and I think nearly ready to.
Yeah, so like Kirsty was saying, lots of nasty ingredients in there sometimes that they get to sneak in. So it's beautiful that we can make our own, whether it's almond milk, oat milks, any type of milks, or even milling our nuts and seeds.
So Leah, I might finish milling that in a second. I'll just show you what we're doing back over here with the taco mix again. Oh, sorry, not the taco mix. That's the taco seasoning mix. Over here, we're actually making the mixture that's going to go in our tacos. So we've just done our onions. I wish you could smell that. Absolutely beautiful. How am I going for the angle there? Oh, yeah, not too bad. Okay, so now we are going to give that a really quick little chop. I'm just going to leave the high temperature splash guard on. That's fine. We're only chopping for a few seconds because remember the onions were left quite large. But because the temperature is still hot, we're not going to pulverize it. So you may notice that when your bowl element is still hot, it will ramp up the speed slowly. That's a safety mechanism. And in this case, it works in our favor because we haven't completely obliterated our onions. Can you see that? We've still got them quite chunky, which is good. Okay. Okay, so now we are going to add our, initially just 250 grams of mincemeat. So when we are browning or caramelizing in the Thermomix, we don't want to overload the bowl. Same thing on the stove. If you want to get the best results, you do your stir fries or whatever it might be in batches. So we're starting with our 250 grams of mince. Now another 20 grams of olive oil. As I said before, don't skip the olive oil. Nope. I said that putting a little bit more than I needed to. And we are going to use the high temperature mode again to brown that mince. So what I'm going to do, we're going to do that one, and then I'm going to add the other 250 grams of mince, and you'll get to see what that looks like a little bit later. Over to somebody else.
Thank you, Kirsty. We're crossing over to Evie now, who is going to prepare the Mexican stack for us. Let's spotlight.
Hello. Can everyone hear me? No. I can't hear anything. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, yes, Evie, we can hear you.
Awesome. Okay, fantastic. So I'm making the Mexican stack. I volunteered to do this because it's actually one of my favorites. I have this on rotation quite often, and I like it because it's actually really easy to make. So the first thing you do is preheat the oven, which I've already done, line around casserole dish. I've actually used a pizza tray and I've lined it with some baking paper. Lots of lovely pizza trays available at the mix shop if anyone's interested. And then we are adding tasty cheese. So I bought a block of tasty cheese and I've actually just cut it up into pieces, just smaller pieces. And the machine is actually going to grate that with a whole bunch of other things. So I'm just going to go to the next thing. I'm going to add some spring onions as well. And I'm also going to add some parsley. Okay, and some garlic cloves. So 2 garlic cloves. And then next, now I am going to put on the lid. And of course, my children have just come home. Fantastic. All right, can everyone see that? Okay. So thank goodness for the closing arms on the side. I'm going to show you what that looks like on the inside now. It's grated the cheese, the parsley, and the shallots. And I'm going to now transfer that to a separate bowl because this is actually going to go on top of the stack later on, and it's going to create a nice melt to it. So, and with all the the parsley and the shallots, it creates a really nice flavor on top of it. So, okay. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to add, it does it usually with these recipes, it asks you to, clean in between. Luckily with this one, I don't have to clean anything. I can just add to it, which is great. So I'm going to add an onion. It asks for chili, but I don't like chili. I don't add chili to anything, which is, for me, it's great because I don't like burning my mouth, but my husband loves it. If he wants to add it later, that's fine. Adding 2 more garlic cloves to that. And now we're going to chop this up. Now, if you don't like chopping up garlic and onions, does anyone like chopping up garlic and onions? Whoever wants to chop up garlic and onions. I actually used to wear gloves to do that because I don't like having smelly hands. And also I don't like the crying aspect of the onions either. So I'm just scraping down the sides and I'll show you what it looks like on the inside. Nicely chopped. Fantastic. Okay. Now it says to put 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Now I'm going to do this my mum's way. And as Christy said, don't skimp on the olive oil. Next, we're going to saute this now. And that's 3 minutes of sauteing the onion and the garlic. Once that's done, we're going to chuck in a whole bunch of other ingredients, and then I'm going to start layering it. I'm going to be using, the actual recipe calls for Lebanese bread. I've made it with Lebanese bread before, and I actually think that tortillas are a lot better for it. It doesn't taste as dry as the Lebanese bread. So that's an option for you if you prefer tortillas over Lebanese bread. Do any of you guys, have you guys made this recipe before? No? I was a bit nervous when I made it the first time because I thought it looked really complicated, but then once you start making it, it's actually really easy.
You know, Evie, we did actually have a few people chime in on the chat and say, yep, I've made it and I love it. So I think you've chosen a popular one.
Oh, well, I try to do that. I always go for the popular recipes. Sorry, guys. It's a good one. It definitely is. I mean, if you haven't made it yet, please give it a go because it's super easy and my family loves it. The kids love it. So why not? And you also have the option in this step to add meat to it as well if you want. So if you wanted to make it a meat-based recipe, so it's a vegetarian, I guess, base, but if you were to add some mince in there, it give it some nice flavor. And you could also add the taco seasoning that you've also made in there, which will give it a nice flavor with the onions and the garlic. So options to make it nice and different if you ever get bored of just eating the vegetarian version. So we've still got about a minute left of the sauteing, and I'm just going to go preview for the next screen. We're going to add the red capsicum, the zucchini, so lots of vegetables in here, which is really great. And then we're going to insert the measuring cup, and then we're going to basically mix it all together. So guys, who's up next?
Thank you so much, Evie. Sharon is up next. So she has for us today the layered Mexican dip. Hello, Sharon.
Hi, everyone. Hi. Today I am making the layered Mexican dip. It is super easy, super healthy, and it's one of those easy, entertaining dishes that you can kind of take anywhere and everyone always loves it. It's the one that people go, can I have the recipe for that dip? The best thing about it is that it is also dairy and gluten-free. So when you go to a party and you've got, everyone these days has, people that can't have certain things, this is one of those universal ones across the board that everyone can eat usually. And it's really easy and it looks impressive. So I'm going to show you through it today. It's really quite simple. And I've prepped some things through the magic of Zoom. So it's asking for some ripe tomatoes. So I've done that. And a jalapeno and 80 grams of red onion and some lime juice. So that's already done, a little bit of salt. And the reason that I did that before is it needs a little bit of time to drain. And I want to, so the moisture doesn't go right through the dip and it's not a soggy dip. So I've done that before. And that's going to mix it around. It's going to drain it for a little bit in the fridge. And then the benefit of having a second bowl, if you guys don't have a second bowl, is that this clean and drying between the bowls. You can always just swap between the bowls, which is kind of cool. So then it's going to add some cashews and some pine nuts. And it's going to, with the cashews and pine nuts, it's going to make a vegan sour cream. Now I've got it to show you because it's got to be refrigerated for a little bit. It is by far the most impressive thing I have seen it do. And I'm not joking, like look at the texture of it. It's like sour cream and it tastes like sour cream. It's actually got a really, really beautiful flavor. And then we're going to, I'm going to show you the next bit. So that's just milled nuts with water and a bit of lemon juice. And now we are going to assemble, we're going to do the avocado layer together. So this is just 2 ripe avocados. I love. And then some lime juice. And then some salt. Just a pinch of salt. And then some pepper, which I've got in there. And then it just wants the lid on here. And it's just going to blend that for 4 seconds. So I'll show you what it looks like after 4 seconds. 4 seconds, perfect guacamole. And now we are going to assemble it. So we've got some refried beans in here, which of course you can make in your Thermomix. Really, really easy to make. You can also make your own tortilla chips. You can make your own, I know it's been said today, Mexican seasoning. I always do that. I have kids with sensitivities to food colorings and preservatives. So that's been one of the biggest game changers for us. So we've got refried beans in there. And we're going to put the avocado in there. So this is like one of those dips that just takes maybe a couple of minutes to make, but always looks really pretty. And you can make it before. So I make it the day before usually, pop it in the fridge. And then when it's party day or we're entertaining, you can just pull it out of the fridge and it looks like you've been slaving away all day. So I'm just layering that up in the glass bowl. I'm not too fussy about it. And then on top of it, we're going to add the sour cream.
Sharon, you've got kind of the perfect bowl for this recipe. Do you remember where you got that dish from?
My mum.
Oh, okay.
I know, it's one of those, you know, when layered salads, actually there's a layered salad on Thermomix recipe too, but remember when layered salads were all the rage?
Yes.
And now I use it for the layered dip, but I don't know if my mum can get this one back. My mum's probably watching and she's probably thinking she's not going to give me that dish back now. So yeah, I layer it, and then what I actually like to do, I actually sprinkle a little bit of this seasoning on top. I go a bit rogue with the recipe because I think it gives it a beautiful, I'll show you what I mean. Gives it a beautiful, like powdered look along the top. Oh, you can kind of see it. So it just makes it beautiful. And then we add our stuff to the top. And I'm going to garnish it with a bit of parsley. So when you cross back, it's going to look all beautiful and green. And I'm going to add all the beautiful tomato and onion that we did at the first step onto the top. And then I'm going to add some beautiful parsley leaves. And I always top it off with a little chili and some corn chips. But I'll show you later when I get some green on there. Over to the next person.
Thank you so much, Sharon.
Dip in a minute.
Awesome. It looks beautiful. It's so pretty as well.
It's so tasty, this one.
It is. All right, and now it's my turn. And I'm going to be presenting the Tex-Mex tortillas with shredded shredded pork, not black. There is something black coming soon in Thermomix. Shredded pork and black beans. Now, I don't eat pork, so I've actually made this dish today with some beef. You can substitute. The only thing, if you're substituting with proteins in your Thermomix, I would say maybe just chicken. If you're substituting chicken types, I really do suggest you follow the actual recipe. So if it's asking for thigh, and you've got breast, I'd stick to the actual protein because it can break down. But with this one, pork to beef is absolutely fine. I've actually started the recipe. Let me just see if I can get it up on here actually, so you can see it on my screen. Beg your pardon, there it is there. So I've actually done the first few steps and I'm going to show you what it looks like. So the cook time, so basically it's just your meat or your pork. Should I bring that in closer actually? Just maybe I'll bring it around here. So you've got your meat, you know, in my case it's beef, and with some veggies. So I've got some capsicum. So it's been cooked with high heat. First of all, the beef was cooked on high heat in 2 separate portions. So there was 300 and 300 grams. And then we added in the capsicums and tomatoes and everything else that you'll see on the recipe when we send it through in the email afterwards. So now we're at the last steps where we actually are going to mix it all up and shred it all up together so that we can pop onto our tortillas. And I'm actually going to show you how to make that. Yeah. Oh, you can stay on this one. Thank you. So beg your pardon. Then we go into our recipe detail and I'm just going to scroll back down. So the other beautiful thing with Cookie Do, when you're looking at it on your screen, you can actually come, if you want to skip a step, you can do that as well. So let's go black beans, add the remaining black beans, which we've done here. So, so we are up to this part here. So we're adding the remaining 200 grams of black beans, which are here somewhere. Sorry, hang on, I'll be back in a minute. Some beautiful black beans. You can, I've actually made this dish with red kidney beans as well. So you could do that, you could substitute. So in goes 200 grams of, I think that should be right, some black beans. Next, we are gently mixing it with a spatula. So the other option is you can use soft stir, but you just stir that through and then it's going to break that all up. When we press next, putting our lid on and it's going on to soft stir and it's just going to break it up. Then it says cut 2 peeled avocados into thin slices. So this is for the presentation and just plating up and eating right at the end. So I've got my avocado and so while your Thermomix is cooking, you can be doing other things like getting, you know, whatever you have to do next. And as we've seen already today, you can actually use the next or the preview section on your TM6 as well and have a look what's next. So just slicing that one up. While that's doing that, I'm going to come over onto the other machine now and show you how to make flour tortillas. While that's finishing off so that we can actually serve this on the flour tortillas. Now the recipe for flour tortillas, of course, is on Cookie Do, and there is beautiful gluten-free recipes. In fact, you'll probably find that most of the recipes just happens to, whoops, did I shut that down? Sorry, the Thermomix is switched off. Hang on 1 second. Can you check the power? I don't know what happened. It seems to be plugged in. Hang on 1 second.
This one's on.
Yeah, I know, it's on. It's really bizarre.
It's got power on.
Oh, here we go. It's coming back on. So let's switch over to the other machine now. And let's get some flour tortillas happening. So I've already programmed it in my week. So let me just scroll through. There's my flour tortillas. And as I was saying, you can find gluten-free version of these on Cookie Do. And I was saying that a lot of the Mexican recipes, of course, do contain, you know, corn and not wheat. Not everything is wheat. But this one is just a flour tortilla. So I've got my flour. I've got this already, so you don't have to sit there and watch me do it all. But I've got some flour, salt, and this recipe actually has baking powder in it. It doesn't have yeast. So it's a teaspoon of baking powder. I've already pre-weighed it, so it's all good. So in that goes, and then next we pop on the lid. So this is kneading now. So while that's kneading, because you don't really need to see the kneading, I'm actually going to show you a batch that I made earlier. Oopsie. Let me just stir that through first. And I will leave my lid's on this in here in a second. We don't need it. It's only going to mix it up for a second. Here we go. That was just flour. So now we're going to add in olive oil. Here.
A bit hard to hear you, Leah.
Sorry, beg your pardon. Is it because the machine's on or is it because I'm far away? So 80 grams. There we go. Next is some warm water, which I have here. So 250 grams of warm water goes in. And we're going to knead it for 2 minutes. There we go. And next, whoops, beg your pardon, there we go. While that's kneading, this is some that I prepared earlier. I will show you. So I actually just popped it into my thermoserver. You can wrap it up in your beautiful bread mat, and the bread mats are available as a gift with purchase, along with our bread tin as a gift until the 8th of March. And these bread mats are really beautiful as well because as you can see, they actually have the little measurements on them. So you can actually, you know, if you want to make perfectly shaped tortillas, you can do that. And I will put the camera closer so you can see it, but I did want to show you this is something. And I'll just take it out. And you will notice that because there's no yeast, it's just a tablespoon of baking powder in there. It's still, you know, beautiful, but it just has much at all. Just sort of come together. You let it rest for 15 minutes after the kneading, and then open it up, which is what I'm doing. So I'm just going to turn on my plate as well, so that we can cook some of them and you can see how they look, because they're really quick and easy. They're cheap. They're, you know, you save so much money, and of course you know what's going on, which is the most important thing. So, yeah. So I've already just opened one up. Actually, I'm going to do this one again because it's a bit too thin. But I do like my tortillas quite thin.
Leah, can I just interrupt you for a sec? Do you want to stop your Thermomix kneading? Do you need that? Because it's just cutting out your sound, that's all.
For sure. All good. It's pretty much done. We had 8 seconds left. So just opening it up. Now, I do like my tortillas thin. And of course, the beauty of doing this is that you can shape them as thin or as thick as you like. This recipe for flour tortillas on cookie dough does make about 16. So in that goes in the pan. And all that has to do is just brown and bubble a little bit. It'll become a little bit toasty. I actually did make some earlier so that you could see what they look like. They're really lovely and soft, and they're great to just keep in the fridge. So sometimes I will just make them, keep them in the fridge, and the kids can just take them out and eat them as wraps. Like I said, the gluten-free ones are beautiful too. So let's just check up on our, yeah, so that's browning nicely. So that's the flour tortillas. And then we are going to have a look now at our shredded meat and veggies over here. We would like to continue. So here we go. Is that good? Perfect. What's that beeping? technical issues today. I had technical issues with my computer as well. So basically we serve this now with that avocado with some sour cream. You can have some salsa there as well. So I'm just going to flour this up and also turn out so that you can see what my tortillas, sorry, I beg your pardon, what my meat looks like. It's really beautiful and flaky. And I'm just going to pop it in. Let me pop it in a glass one so that you can see it. Over here. So let's pour that out. There we go. So normally I'd pop that into my thermoserver, but just in here so that you can see what it looks like. So this is my meat. And normally what I do now is I just get out a fork. And if you just have a look, as I press on it, because it's been cooking for, you know, a good 20 minutes, plus we had the high heat, so it did, you know, saute a little bit, it kind of just breaks up really nicely. And so what we're going to do is pop it on a tortilla. So that one too. How's that tortilla looking? Pretty good. So got our tortilla. And you can have some lettuce and some avocado and, like I was saying, sour cream. And some, you can add on some tomato as well. You can see how that kind of like just breaks up there. It's really beautiful and soft. And there we go. And some cheese, of course. And there are beautiful recipes as well for vegan cheese on Plant to Plate as well, if you wanted to attempt that too. And of course, you can do your lettuce, your tomato, and you know, there you go. There's your tortillas. Let's have a look and see what a cooked tortilla looks like. Yay! So this is a fresh one. We'll just put it in there. So there's the tortillas, really nice and easy. So have a go. It's really easy to make. You can make them, pop them in the fridge as well, keep them for another time. You don't have to make them straight away, or you can prepare them for a night before meal. You can even freeze them as well. So next we have Kirsty, who's going to make us some margaritas.
Thanks,
And
Lee.
show us cookie do as well, aren't you?
I am. So first we might head back to the tacos. I've left it, it's been finished for a while, but I just wanted to show you the texture of the mince because it is quite different using the high temperature mode. So for anybody who maybe is new to the TM6 and hasn't done the high temperature mode yet, this is the texture that you can get your mince. So instead of, it used to kind of mush a little bit, but you get this beautiful dry mince that holds its shape and is going to be absolutely delicious. So we're now up to adding our tomato paste. I think I pre-weighed that. Yep, that looks about right. And then we're going to add 70 grams of water. Now I'm actually going to add a little bit less water because there is quite a little bit of moisture that's come out of the mince. So, well, 10 grams less, that's all right. Now, 20 to 30 grams of our taco seasoning. So here we are. This is what I made earlier in the other machine. So we've got a whole, it's not Colo honey, it's now a jar of Mexican seasoning mix. So we're going to add to taste. I wish you could smell that. It's absolutely beautiful. I need to grab another spoon, hang on. So I'm going to add, let's see, maybe 2 big heaped teaspoons full, which, oh, there you go, bang on 30 grams. So always store your spice mixes in an airtight container, particularly when it's really humid like this. Now we're just going to find my other measuring cup. And we're just going to finish that off. So that's just going to cook together just on 100 degrees for 3 minutes. So we'll leave that to do its thing. And over here, I'm going to make margaritas. So I'm going to show you something a little bit different here. in my other Thermomix. So for those of you who are new to your TM6, can't get the angle right. There we go. So I'm not sure if anybody's tried creating their own.
Just need to unmute Kirsty.
You've gone on to mute somehow. Yeah.
Like keeps muting itself. Anyway, so as I was saying, what I'm going to show you now in this machine is margarita, but instead of just using the margarita recipe that I found on Cookie-Doo, I went to the recipe community and had a bit of a look. I didn't find one that was exactly what I was looking for, but I found one that was pretty close. And if you've had a look in the recipe community lately, you'll notice that there's a new green button that says import this recipe to Cookie-Doo, or wording to that effect. So you just click that button and it copies that recipe into your Cookie-Doo account, and then you can play with it. So you can tweak the quantities, the time, temperature, speed, whatever, some of the ingredients. So I had a little bit of a play around with it because I've added some orange zest to this one. And then I've created my own recipe, which now I can have on my TM6 as a guided recipe. So here we are here, tequila and Cointreau frozen margarita. Don't you wish you were in my house? So here we go. I'm going to bring up that recipe. And look, it says imported by Kirsty McKibben. How clever is that? So we click on start cooking. All right, so first up, it operates a little bit differently from a traditional Cookie-Doo recipe, but I'm sure you'll agree that it's still really simple to follow. So add 60 grams of raw sugar and the zest of half an orange. So what you do then is just press the little scale icon down the bottom here, and it pops up with the list of ingredients that it's asking you to add in this step. So my 60 grams of raw sugar. So I've got my sugar here. And my zest of half an orange. Now here's a little tip. If you're ever zesting any, lemon or lime or orange zest, peel it, just do a really shallow peel with your vegetable peeler, and then I've just left it on some paper towel to dry out. Now if you needed to use it immediately, you could just kind of block some of the oil off onto the paper towel. You want it to be as fairly dry as possible so that the oils in it don't stick to the side of the bowl, because that'll give you then a finer zest. So whenever a recipe asks you to add a zest, always add it with some of your sugar or your flour, depending on what recipe is, and that will give you a much finer zest. So I'm going to throw that in on top of my sugar. We've finished adding those ingredients, so I just close that screen, and then it says nil for 10 seconds on speed 9. So now I just press the little speed icon and it's set there with 10 seconds. It says speed 9 here. There we go. And the other one's dinging to come in. Multitasking here. So my Arco mix has now finished, so I'll just show you. Absolutely beautiful. I'm going to pop that into my thermo server here, and we're going to have that for our dinner a little bit later. Yum, yum. So that was 500 grams of mince. If you wanted to increase that that dish, you could easily just repeat that step with another quantity of mince. I wouldn't recommend increasing the quantity in that step where it asks you for the 250 grams of mince. You do want to do it in batches for best results, same as you would on the stove. All right. Oh, it smells so good. I'm going to pop the lid on that in my thermo server, which you can get as a host reward, and that's going to stay nice and hot for later when we have it for our dinner. Back to the margaritas. Okay, so I'll just show you that beautiful fine zest. Scrape that down. Another time that I wish Zoom gave you a smell of what we're cooking. Oh, I love citrus. So there's, and you probably can't really see that. Anyway, trust me, sugar and orange zest smells absolutely amazing. Okay, so then we just close that screen and we go next with the little arrow on the side. Scrape down, repeat if necessary. No, I'm happy with that. Okay, so now we're going to add our alcohol, and I'm actually going to halve this recipe because otherwise I'll have to drink it all, and it makes for 4, but there'll only be 2 of us drinking it, so I better halve the alcoholic quantities at least. Okay, so 30 mils of Contro, not 60. Oh, it's always a bit scary pouring with an audience. Oop. Not as far over as I usually go. And then I'm just going to tear the scales, and now we're going to add the tequila as well. Now, I didn't buy the top shelf tequila. I'm using a silver tequila. The guy in the shop assured me it would be fine. Now, it's supposed to be 150 mils. That's going to be a lot of alcohol between two of us. So I might just do 70 mils. I'm sure that'll be fine. Now we want our lime juice. I'm going to throw that in as well. Oh, I forgot to tear the scales in between, but I had pre-weighed that, so that's all good. And an egg white. So this is just going to give we're basically making a sorbet here, but a slightly slushy sorbet so that you can drink it as a cocktail. And this egg white will give it a really lovely, lovely texture. You could leave that out if there was somebody who couldn't have eggs, for example. Oh, have to say it's smelling pretty good about now. So now we're going to add half of our ice, and we're going to do the ice in batches. So we're going to add the first lot. So I've just got it in my white thermo server. Flash flash. And we're going to crush that first, and then we'll add the rest of the ice while that's churning. Okay, so yes, and add half of the ice. Next, blending for 1 minute on speed 7, gradually increasing the speed, and we're adding the remaining ice through the mixing bowl lid. So here we go. Now this is going to be a little bit noisy. You'll just have to watch what I'm doing. And actually it's quite slushy, so I'm going to add the rest of the ice straight away. This is what happens when you play around with recipes and make them your own. Sometimes you need to go back and tweak them, and you can do that with creative recipes. Oh, it's all frozen to the bottom of the computer. If you need to go back and adjust a recipe that you've created, you just log back into your Cookie-Doo account, make any adjustments that you might want to make, and then next time you access that recipe through your Thermomix, you'll find that it has been updated. So really easy. Hopefully you'll be inspired to try creating your own recipe. Here we go. So I will go back and adjust that recipe because it only actually needed 30 seconds, not the full minute. And oh, yum, yum, yum. All right, let me grab my glass. Or do you want me to leave this until we're plating up at the end? Leah?
No, you can do it now since you're on a roll. Go for it.
One now and one later.
Why not?
Do I have to drive anywhere later? That would be a good question to ask. Do the children need to be fed? Oh, I've made dinner. Excellent. All right, look at that. And the rest of it, I'm going to pop in my thermo server so that when my husband gets home, there might still be some left, and it might still be frozen. Well, it will still be frozen if there's any left, and he can have some as well. Now, just a little tip here, something that I do without thinking. Notice where I'm holding the bowl. Whenever you are tipping something out of your Thermomix bowl, particularly when it's really heavy and full of soup or something, it's ergonomically designed so that if you hold it from the base of the handle while you're tipping, notice the position of my elbow. It takes all the weight out of your elbow, whereas if you're holding it there, there's a lot of strain on your elbow. Oh, elbow, your elbow, this thing, your shoulder. I haven't tried the cocktail yet, but yeah, if you hold it from the base of the handle, it doesn't feel anywhere near as heavy. So try it, let me know what you think. It really does make a difference. All right, so that's going to stay cold there. I've got my cocktail ready to go. Dinner's already cooked. And back to Leah, who is going to show us one last dish.
Thank you, Kirsty. I am going to show you one last dish before we pan around and have a look at it. And I think this one, even though it took 22 minutes to cook my quinoa, I used a tricolor one, is one of the easiest ones. So this one is the Mexican quinoa salad. It's really beautiful. It's a really nice one to make in advance. Or, you know, you can take it to, like kids can take it to school, you can take it to work, and of course you can, you know, adjust the veggies and the flavorings to what you like. I've, like I was saying, prepared my quinoa earlier, so cooked in the Thermomix. Then the recipes asked me to chop up some red capsicum, yellow capsicum, and by the way, this one's from the UK recipe, so yeah, I think their wording is a little bit different, but yeah, kidney beans. The recipe actually asked for black beans. I went half kidney beans and half black beans, and some corn. It did say tin corn. Corn is in season at the moment. There's lots of it. My dad brought some for me, so I've just seasoned it and really lightly cooked it. So I've got some fresh corn. So in that goes into my salad. Then I add in some shallots, and I've got some coriander as well, but I might just save that and put that on the top. And I've got some avocado as well. But what I want to show you now, there's my avocado, is the actual dressing. So you can actually make this salad, have it in the fridge, and then have your dressing separate. But mind you, if you do mix it all up, it does taste beautiful because the quinoa absorbs that beautiful flavor. So with my screen, oh, it's not going to work, but anyway, I'm going to twist it over a little bit. There we go. And I've got all my ingredients in here. I've got some coriander. I've got some vinegar, some cider vinegar. I've got garlic in there. I have, what else have I got in there? Some olive oil, a little bit of honey as well for a sweetener. There we go. And some lime juice. I said coriander. There's even a chili in there as well. It does ask for a jalapeno, but I just use a green one with no seeds, and a little bit of English mustard as well, and a garlic clove. I'll just grab my lid. And put it on. And now we're going to make the dressing. So, oh, and there's salt and pepper in there, by the way. So with your dressings, of course, you can make, you know, whatever dressing you want, and keep it in the fridge. I'm just going to go off for a couple of seconds while this mixes up. And I was reminded, it is Mardi Gras. It must be the colours that inspire and the inspiration behind. What is that? Happy Mardi Gras. This is a beautiful Mardi Gras dish too. Here we go. So that's all done. Whoopsie. And I'll show you what that looks like. I accidentally got rid of it off my screen, but there it is. Let me just pour it back into my, and pour it straight on. But I'll pour some in here so you can see what it looks like. So it's a really beautiful, and like I was saying before, you can make any kind of dressing. So even something like ginger, lemon, you know, garlic, with some olive oil. You can use a rind of the lemon, which has really beautiful flavor. You might be using a zest or something like that. You can pop it in there, whiz it all up, make your salad dressing, keep it in the fridge. So there it is there. I'm just going to give that a little stir so you can see what it looks like, and then we're going to whiz around and see everyone else's dishes. So that is my salad. Absolutely gorgeous. So who's going to show us their dish first? Should we cross over to you, Kirsty? Did you show us your completed dishes? Should we go to Evie? Let's go to, oh, Kirsty, come on.
Well, I was going to say, I've got my cocktail ready to go and I'm being very restrained. I haven't even tasted it yet, but I did forget to put my taco shell in the oven earlier. So maybe cross back to me when I've got that out and filled it with everything. See you.
Right. Let's go over to Evie.
Sorry, I've had an intruder. I've still got about 5 minutes left in the oven, and then I can pull it out and show you guys the end result.
Oh, okay, cool. Should we go to Sharon and see her?
Hello. I'm all ready. I've topped it with a little bit of, it's got the tomatoes and onions which we did at the start, and then
Okay, can I have it?
some herbs from the garden, and also some vegan cheese and our chili. And I wish you guys could smell it because it smells beautiful. And I'm gonna take it out to the family and watch them demolish it in seconds.
It looks gorgeous and so pretty.
So pretty and so easy. Like, it's literally one of those ones where you can whip it up. I can keep it in the fridge and you know, have it ready for when you have the next function or whatever. So it's really easy.
Absolutely. And you know, there's actually a beautiful recipe for making your own corn chips as well.
Yeah.
On Cookie Do. So that would be a good one to try too. Have you tried it?
I think I have years ago, but I actually think it would be a great thing to try again.
Yes, definitely. Or you could even use your tortillas and just slice them up too. That's another option. Thank you so much, Sharon.
Thank you.
Okay, now we have, I know Evie still had a couple of more minutes. Are you ready? Can we cross back to you, Kirsty? Oh, she's getting it out of the oven now. Here we go. Oh, they both are. Wonderful. Yay. Oh, okay.
Oh, there we go, back again, caught in the act. All right, so, oh, where's my lettuce? Hang on, I washed it. Now, we have a bit of a saying in our house, whenever anybody overfills something, we have it, sorry, I wasn't sure if I was muted again. We have a saying in our house, whenever anybody overfills something, they say they've done a mum. So let's see how I go filling this taco without breaking it, which is why I normally go the soft ones. So we've got a little bit of lettuce in there. We might add a tiny bit of tomato, a little bit of cheese, and I'm running out of space. Oh, and it's not in there, of course, it's in the thermo server. I promise I have not partaken of the cocktail as yet. All right. This is why I like the soft tortillas, because you can fit so much more in them. The tacos have that wonderful crunch. Look at that. I did buy some soft ones as well, so we'll see how we go. But there's my beautiful taco. Brown food, sloppy food never looks that appealing on TV, but you know, let's put a little bit more cheese on top and I'll pretty that up for a photo later. And now I have my Mexican feast ready to go.
What a beautiful combination. Nice.
Yeah, I have too much salt on it though. Let's see how it goes.
I'm sure it's good.
Oh, no.
We'll cross over to Evie now. You've got your dish ready, Evie.
Yes, it's ready. I'm glad I actually took it out of the oven a little bit earlier, which is good because I think it's the perfect cooking temperature now. This is it. It's beautiful. I can't wait to cut into it. When you cut into it, it all melts into itself, and it just looks amazing. And add some sour cream on the side. You can pair it with a salad. It's so easy and such a good meal to make. So if anyone hasn't made it before, please add it to your list.
Thank you, Evie. It looks gorgeous, and don't forget to take a photo for us.
I
and
will.
you too, Kirsty, before you dig into it.
I did get a photo of my cocktail before I took a sip.
Oh, good. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. What else do we want to talk about? Janine, can you remind me, please? We've got some, we did talk about the promotion. We talked about, well, the current offer, I should say, with the TM6 purchase, you do get the beautiful bread mat and the bread tin. And there was also the
Trade up.
trade-up opportunity. Thank you. There's a trade-up opportunity as well. So that you can trade in any Thermomix in any condition up until the 8th of March, which is actually on Tuesday at 12. So talk to your consultant about that, and you can, get a TM6. There was...
Launch the poll.
Please, thank you. Let's launch a poll now. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. If you can please fill out the poll, which is being launched now. Thank you, Janine. And thank you, everyone, for joining us.